Open a brand
This
new.
meeting, this meeting is being live streamed. Here we go. We're live.
It is. Can you see us?
I mean, I can. It says we're being live streamed.
Where does it say that?
It just gave me a notification. So,
Okay.
and up top it says we're live streamed. Here we go. We're live.
Okay. Can you see us? So I'm going
I
to
mean, I
mute.
can. It says
Okay. Wait, I've muted YouTube, but now I can't hear you.
there was a delay reaction.
Okay. I see us live.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Wow. Okay, so this is what Brene Brown calls FFTs, which is the first freaking time. So there we have it.
Here we go. Do we have people in? Because I'm on the website and I'm not seeing our video play live.
I see our video playing live.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah. You want me to send this
Awesome.
to you?
Do it.
Okay, I
And sorry everyone, bear with us. It's our first launch and we're both out of town. I'm shouting out from Milan. Alex is shouting out from Indianapolis.
can I chat it to you because my iMessages is broken on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sent. Okay, sent. Cool. So
All
great.
right. Hi everyone. Thank you for tuning into our official launch. Sorry we were a little bit of a mess. You know, we're both still patients of our rare disease. My name is Mahsa and this is Alex, my co-host and my co-founder of IgG4-RD.Life podcast. We partner not just in this, we partner in a lot of other projects and a lot more that we're trying to accomplish for our community. As I said, we are patients of this rare disease. It's called IgG4-RD. The RD stands for related diseases. And this is because it's coming to show that there's a lot of different types of inflammatory and fibroglandular inflammatory diseases that are coming forward. And they're now being classified under our rare disease. And so, because it's different types of diseases, we'll say related diseases, we just need more research. Um, so IgG4-RD, it is a systemic, rare glandular, sorry, fibroinflammatory and fibroglandular inflammatory disease. And it does also show up in clusters in like fibroid masses, tumors, cysts. It does affect every single organ. It could be head to toe. It could be your eyes, your lacrimal, your parotids, your ears. It could be your IG organs. It could be your kidney, your liver, and very commonly these days it's coming up as pancreatic. And so that's definitely one of the things that it does relate to. Um, but you know, there's a portion of us that are classified under this related disease as a seronegative, but we'll get into all of this in a little bit. I just wanted to go ahead and introduce Alex real quick, and let's hear from her before I get into what I want to say about Milan.
Oh, yeah, great. Well, thanks. So I also wanted to say, I think one thing to remember is with IgG4-ID is that it can affect any organ. And the reason why it seems so rare is because depending on the organ, it acts like the diseased organ versus like the same thing from organ to organ. And
Mimicking.
yeah, and so that's why also a lot of times it's misdiagnosed as cancer because of the tumors. And the only definitive way to diagnose is with biopsy. That's like the gold standard. So, and I do want to say, I want to just like, I want to appreciate, send out just appreciation, how much I appreciate just the door opening for us patients to be able to speak about us, for us, and for caregivers, and for friends and loved ones, and people who want to know about this. And not everyone wants to talk about their illness, but I think it's important that some people step up and speak for us, you know, and that's me and Masa. We are considered rare, even in our disease community, because we are seronegative, meaning we don't have elevated levels of IgG4 in our blood. Plus, the latest research, which you'll hear about, is hasn't had enough subjects. So women, as we all know, sorry, men, but we get neglected a lot in medical research. So exciting times ahead of us because more research will be done on all of us. Let's see. Part of this too is that you'll hear when Mahsa shares what she learned at the 5th International IgG4-RD Symposium and all of this kind of research that we'll get to not just rely on, but grow upon. So yeah, and not all of us have caregivers. So if you caregivers are out there, I hope you really take care of your people because it would be great to have one. Because I don't. All right. And
Oh,
yeah, and I'm in Indiana enjoying the eclipse. I'm going to enjoy the eclipse. So I'm coming at you from Indiana. Who would know, right? Because I live in San Francisco, so this is exciting. Tell us about what's going on in oh, right. We want to talk about our mission statement, which we've got written down um all over the place. So you can see our site. But
let's say
basically,
one thing.
yeah.
Everybody, you'll have to excuse me and Alex because we both do have head and neck involvement with our disease. And so when we get excited and we have so many things to juggle, we do get a little bit of brain fog. So if we jump a little bit all over the place, it is because of that too. So
Yeah, but we're going to try and keep it together. Like we've talked
exactly, we
before,
got this.
all the stress just to get all this happening, the stress of travel, the stress of doing our first live stream, um, which meant, some flares, some worse than others. And this is something that our fellow patients that I want to share with you is that you can be productive and still have flares, not always, but you know, we can do this and we can all share our advice with each other. But part of our mission statement is to raise our collective voice as patients. We would like to include a global community of not just patients and caregivers and researchers and doctors. We want everyone to know about this because for me, I feel that this is a rare disease for now, but I believe that perhaps maybe it's underdiagnosed. And we really hope that by providing more information, especially from the patient's perspective, that more research dollars will get funded into doing more research because we need more research. We need, and we've got, which brings us to Mahsa, who was at the symposium. So I'm going to mute and you go for it.
Oh, you don't have to mute, but thank you. I appreciate that. Alex and I will definitely get into our stories as a patient down the line. It's just that we did want to cover a few things today, especially. And so I am here at the 5th International IgG4-RD Symposium that Dr. De La Torre, Dr. Stone, Dr. Tanashi from China, we from Japan and China, and we have it was like a world organized event that they've been having, and they haven't had patients before, right? So this was kind of huge that they had a few of us patient representatives there. And it did actually have an impact. But I also do, after going through it, I do understand why they didn't have patients involved up until now, it is because IgG4 does affect us from head to toe, any organ. A lot of people have just one organ involvement, and so it is a bit simpler to deal with. And then it does range, it goes all the way up to patients who have malignant cancers, as I've come to learn. And so some of it can be really scary. And sometimes, doctors need to discuss those things with each other. They need to discuss their findings that they're presenting with each other. And the patient hearing those back and forths between the doctors sometimes is comes off as too stressful, maybe too emotional, because our mental health is a huge factor at play with rare diseases, with autoimmune diseases. And so I see both sides, but the fact that we finally had a patient panel and doctors and biopharma companies and trial reps and just patient advocacy groups from all around the world that could come and they could hear from patients. I think that was a really, really big success. We have to thank Ilaria Galletti for this. And of course, Dr. De La Torre and Dr. Stone, because, without them, none of this would have even happened. So I am very grateful for that. There was a lot of research being presented at the symposium, and I was very happy because, I've kind of become a mini doctor, I always like to say, or a mini advocate for myself, or a huge advocate for myself, but a mini doctor for myself, because when you're seronegative and your blood work doesn't show what diseases you have, it becomes a whole other thing. You have to really, you trust doctors. Usually you go to them and you say, hey, here's my issue, and then they test your blood and they do some scans and they're like, here's what you have. Now with a seronegative patient, it's rare, it's hard, because they can't track anything in your blood, and so what they see, they will look at it as just maybe an onset or an acute thing that happens, and it will go away with a temporary treatment. And so that it makes it difficult. It makes it really difficult for doctors to diagnose us, for us to have them diagnose us, just with the random amount of flares that it is. So the inflammatory aspect of the disease is very random, But having doctors from around the world do these presentations, and the presentations were, it was topics I've discussed with all of our different patients in our support group. Alex and I are two of our three admins in our patient support group on Facebook. We have over 2,300 patients globally. And so, we make an effort in talking with them and then doing Zoom calls and understanding what each patient is going through. And that's how I'm actually able to show up to these things and advocate and be a voice for our patient community. I don't see anybody else actually taking the time and effort to talk to a lot of patients, like we do, or like I do. And so, when I see a doctor present a case that resembles exactly one of our patients, I'm immediately like, let me help this patient out, and I do it. But we need to take kind of what I'm doing here and amplify it. But the only way we could do that is we need more research, as we come to find out. There's still a lot of gaps between our communities that are global, and that's a huge thing. But I learned a lot. There's a lot that I want to talk about. I really, really do want to speak about all of these in our future sessions. But some quick things was that the research is now there for more than one treatment. So it is not just now rituximab infusions or glucocorticoid, or a DMARD medication, which is something that's an immunosuppressive drug like mycophenolate, like Plaquenil. And so there's a lot. Now they're actually being able to distinguish, hey, which type of immunosuppressive goes for which organ involvement. And I've taken notes of these. I know the doctors have now published all of these online for public domains too. So we'll definitely crack these down and get into them, because I know we have patients that have multiple different organ involvements going on, and it really does help and relate. Something else I learned about was that there's the reason why women, so that, let me get into this. So there was a patient panel, right? And this patient panel that we had was obviously amazing. We had the European patient representatives, and then we had IgG Forward's patient representatives who were also up on there. I was also invited to be on the panel, and there was a last minute miscommunication, but I was still up there. So I was like, I'm going to sit down and we're going to talk. What I noticed is that all the research is being done mainly on men. So, and they did start off the symposium with saying that the main kind of target patients that are going through IgG4 related disease are middle-aged to older men. And I personally don't feel that this is true, because being an admin of our group, we have this, 75% female to 25% male ratio. But there were doctors who stood up and said we do need more research on this globally, because a lot of them in their researches, they have a 50-50 equality of patients in there. And this really leads to a lot of our female patients being misdiagnosed. And then not just female, right? Younger too, because if they're saying middle age to older, that also affects our age gaps. Um, Alex, did you want to say something? I saw. Yeah.
Well, okay, two things. Um, I just getting texts from my sister about this. She says it's still saying
Mm-hmm.
that I'm going to do some troubleshooting because this is getting recorded. I'm going to say because people will be able to see this is that there aren't enough doctors who know about IgG4-RD or who are
Mm-hmm.
trained in recognizing it or in treating it. So that's one of the most difficult things. And that's one of the things that I've noticed as an admin of the group is that that's basically the first question people ask is, I just got diagnosed. I have no idea where to find a doctor who knows anything about this. And there was one person that I spoke to who went through 26 rheumatologists before she found someone who could treat her. So that's pretty serious stuff. Um, and then, so, we'll talk about, like, before we close out, I'll talk more about this, but I just want to throw that out there and why it's so important what Mahsa is saying. I just wanted to embellish or add on that.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's really true. I learned a lot. Females were underrepresented at the moment. And on top of that, seronegative patients, those whose IgG4 plasma levels don't show up in your blood serums, also we are underrepresented. Again, the younger crowd, we're underrepresented. And each time this has actually led to an underdiagnosed situation. I'll speak to it from my own experience. Every time I was hospitalized, it was, oh, it's stress, it's hormones, and severe dehydration is because of it. That's why you keep coming back here. And just because my blood work would say I'm fine, I was always being dismissed. And for being female and for being young, it's a thing. Another thing is that a lot of our research studies and trials, they specifically want only an IgG4-RD case with a patient, right? And a lot of those times, males happen, and not all males, right? Because we still have seronegative males, we still have full-on organ involvement male patients, but most of the times the males happen to have a one organ involvement, and it's most likely their pancreas or anything. It's a single organ involvement, as they like to call it. And females, we happen to have multiple organ involvements, and we have multiple autoimmune diseases. This is something that has been researched and is still being researched. Um, and because if we have a secondary or another primary condition, we get disqualified from these studies and these researches. And then the other reason was actually because, and I talked to every country that was representing. We had Netherlands, we had Spain, we had Sweden, Turkey showed up, Malaysia showed up, Australia showed up, China, Japan, America, obviously, and so when I was talking with everybody, excuse me as I have a brain fog moment. um, Everybody had, what am I talking about? Alex, help me out here. Yeah, right? I can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I was fixing our webpage,
Yeah. What was
getting,
I even talking about?
yeah, what were you talking about?
I was
You were talking about needing support, needing doctors.
Well, no, I mean, I was saying that we had so many representations. I was saying that all these other countries were showing up, and everybody was actually supporting our disease. Excuse me, this is like a domino effect that happens with my mind, the dysautonomy and the brain fog that I also experienced. Oh, here we go. That's where it is. When you have more than one autoimmune condition, or more than, if you have a secondary or a tertiary disease, you get disqualified from the research study or a trial. And most of the time, paid market interviews too, they all disqualify you if you have a secondary or a tertiary um, autoimmune disease, or not even autoimmune, right? It could be neurological, um, and or immunological. And so this is how a lot of us are actually falling through the cracks, and this is how a lot of females are falling through the cracks, because a lot of us females are more prone to having more than one disease. And then on top of that, when the narrative of it all is going to be that, hey, our patients are mainly consistent of middle-aged and older men, then we're just simply not going to get that attention, because we go in and we have one of the itises, aortitis, sinusitis, parotitis, which could all literally fall under IgG4. And if you happen to be seronegative like Alex and I, where your blood doesn't even show anything, a lot of times they just dismiss it. Um, or if you just have a fibroid mass or a fibroid tumor or a fibroglandular anything, they don't really take that seriously. Because they already have these prefixed notions in their mind from what they feel or think that IgG4-RD is. The thing that I learned the most throughout the symposium is that there is a lot of information. There is enough information. One thing I really picked up on was they really don't have access to these patients in the regions, but Alex and I do through our group. And so I've talked to them. We're going to help them. We're going to connect people to the regions. And I really highly suggest for people to consider these trials, consider these studies, consider these interviews, no matter where you are. If you feel like you want more information about anything in your region, feel free to reach Alex or I on our IgG4-RD.Life website. You'll find us through the contact us page, and we would really love to help. This is our main thing. Our patient voices are very, very underrepresented.
I think the other thing is to take into account too, because one of the things that we're going to talk about in our podcast, well, I'll explain that later, is we are going to talk about demystifying research, because us lay people, most lay people don't know how to read research. So we can come up with some crazy and wild ideas. And we can also feel pretty offended because our population wasn't included in the study. But we have to remember that science is a stepwise process. It's a way of uncovering truths. And unfortunately, sometimes there's a lot of waiting game. You have to wait for more and more populations to be included. It's so hard to have control in something, especially with multi-organ involvement or multiple compound diseases, right? Because then you're like, well, it could be this, it could be that. We don't know if it's just this. So we do understand why it's been like primarily middle-aged men. But the problem is too, with all these doctors who don't really know anything about this disease yet, they're dismissive of, well, I'm lucky I've got a great medical team, but they're dismissive of patients who don't fit that mold of what they can think they can expect, even though we're all out here. So I just want to throw that out there about research. It can be frustrating, it can be slow, but it does uncover truths, in fact, truths that are life-saving. So I just want to point that out.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And me sitting through a lot of these presentations, they're getting there. They really are. Hope is there. Doctors are showing up representing their patients. They really care. I felt their feelings for their patients. And that made me appreciate it even more. Obviously, there's still some disconnect going on in how the research is being done, getting connected to our patients, and the right type of patients still being seen and all that. But the amount of hope that I noticed, and that's on the way and that's coming, it's happening. Japan has been very active. China has been very active. Dr. Stone's IgG Forward has been very active. Milan, right here, Italy, Dr. Delatorre has been very active, and his team. And the EPAG European advocacy team too. They've really built something amazing. And just to have an event like this where all doctors can come and present their ideas. I mean, there was a presentation on seronegative patients, and that was amazing to me. We've never had such representation. Even if it was just a quick 5 to 10 minute presentation, it was everything, because it represented a huge portion of us. Still, minority, but huge.
Speaking of representation, Mahsa, I would, we were talking last night about this, but I think you really I really wanted you to talk about, like, for me and Masa, being patient advocates is really important. Being patients who
Yeah.
advocate not for ourselves, because that's self-advocacy is a part of your self-care, but also to advocate to other for other patients, right? Stepping forward and exposing ourselves as being sick people and helping others in the process. Sick people. I mean, what does that even mean, right? I feel great. Um, but there were some things that you talked about, for example, representation. We were talking about like mostly men. There was a patient panel, you said just a little while ago about how you kind of like got on it by the skin of your teeth. But there was an issue of feeling like nobody was advocating for you, like we're like an
Yeah.
invisible sector. Can you
Actually,
talk a little bit
thank you
about
for thank you for saying it exactly the way that you did, because I that's how I felt. I felt that nobody advocated for me. I personally advocate for me. Obviously, that's how I started, but I found that when I advocate for our collective patient voices is when it's actually more effective. And so I'm somebody who always likes to advocate for every single patient. And, me being there already at throwing the question out there to the doctor panel, the amazing doctor panel actually, that why is it that your research is always just male based and not female based? Because we're being very underrepresented. And then having to follow that question and answer up with the patient panel where nobody actually had my back or advocated for me or was like, let's hear from her on the panel, that that kind of was a I was feeling some feelings as a patient, obviously, because they the panel was consistent of males only. I was the only female up there, and having other patients up there also, one or two of them saying that because our disease is mainly middle-aged male targeted, that kind of hurt me a little bit because as a patient advocate, I feel that we need to be representing all of the patients, and me as a female sitting right up there with everybody, I felt like I was going to have a bit more of a community or a bit more protection, but no matter what, this is what advocacy really means, right? You push through, you show up, and you scream at the top of your lungs what we patients need and that we need to be heard. So I went up there, I shared my story, I represented, I not only represented women, but seronegative patients and the other organ involvement patients, because it's mainly being talked about a lot of times just pancreatic, salivary or lacrimal, and then the rest is just being kind of, oh, and then there's also these, where it's like, no, let's dig into all of it, But at the same time, Alex, let me tell you, there's so much research coming out. They're finding new antibodies for IgG4. They're coming up with new parts of the pathogenesis of IgG4. They're coming up literally with very specific things that are going to help detect IgG4 a lot faster, which would help us treat it faster. And that's literally, they say early detection and early treatment. It's huge, you know.
yeah.
Um,
And
so
I just also wanted
sorry.
to make sure that we didn't gloss over this really important part that Masa was saying, and if it wasn't clear, that's really important. When she says true advocacy, she means being inclusive of all patients instead of
Yeah,
some patients or the majority of the patients, even like, like us fringe. Are we really fringe? I don't even know. But like the tail ends on that parabola on a graph, we're still there, right? We want to be included, and we are including ourselves, and we're including everyone, including men.
exactly.
So,
Yeah. Men and also all ages, right? Because our younger patient community is really falling through the cracks. I think genetic testing is very important, obviously, and not just that. I think they were also talking about it. Genetic testing is important. Radiological tests, so any type of PET scans, especially if you're already diagnosed. Um, not just serological, because a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, right? Because we are considered still a minority of seronegative patients. But in case anybody is seronegative, that radiological result is very important. So PET scans, MRIs, very important. More significantly, PET scan. Um, but biopsies. If honestly, if you feel like things are getting really bad, and what does your gut tell you? Do a biopsy. A biopsy will literally tell you everything. There's also that whole thing where we have to tell our pathologists what to look for, but these are little things that me and Alex are going to get into with you all down the line in our sessions when we bring our experts. And I'll actually let Alex tell you what our whole plan is with our podcast real quick. But there's a lot of good stuff coming out for our community. We're excited to talk about it. We're excited to amplify other patients' voices through this, for everyone. We're gonna have doctors tuning in as well. We're gonna have patient reps tuning in from all around the world. So, this is how we get our voices out. This is how we actually get to say what's going on with us. We know there's more research being needed. Alex and I are also actually, we have launched a research platform with the data health analytics group. That is something that we will get into with you guys also at another session, because it's very exciting. There's a lot missing. We're gonna fix it, bridge those gaps.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So, a little bit about what you can expect from us. I guess to start, we're thinking to launch episodes every other week. Um, so that gives you a little something to expect. So you definitely need to like, share, subscribe, hit the little notification button, excuse me, not budget. Somebody's been doing her budget. So then that's kind of, we don't want you to miss any of this. And then also, what kinds of things you can expect from us aside from advocating for patients, aside from including all the patients. There will be interviews with not just patients, but other people in the rare disease community who don't have IgG4, but who have rare diseases, and they could share a lot with us based on their experience having been further down the road, because that has been enlightening and it has helped us move in the direction that we're in. One thing that I think is really important is demystifying research, because that lay people aren't taught how to read research. So you might want to like let us know, maybe we'll put a poll on our site. We should probably include that, but let us know what kind of research you want us to do, because we'll be
You could
sprinkling.
submit an article. You could submit
Yeah,
an article.
exactly.
Yeah,
I
we'll make
personally
it an episode.
super excited to share about CNS involvement, but that's because I have CNS involvement,
Me
but
too.
that's okay. Yeah, so there's that. So demystifying research, huge. So we'll all get to learn stuff that we should have learned when we were kids, but they weren't taught in school. Interviewing guests, like I said, we'll also interview caregivers as well, because it's really hard on them to care for people, and you watch someone flaring and it's like freaky, right? And it's like, no, 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 I'm fine. So, there's that, possibly, the potential of possibly losing someone. Like my brain was swelling up. We almost lost me. I almost lost me. And so did my family. So,
Losing someone, we should say losing ourselves.
right, it's like their perspective is going to be huge, because we forget we're like,
Yeah.
as patients, you can just be freaking out and little. We'll also talk a lot about how self-aware you need to become about your symptoms and what's going on as a patient, so that you can communicate your doctor, and how to collect your own data to present to your doctor, because doctors speak data, most of them. So we'll talk about relevant topics. We'll, of course, be continuing to provide updates on global news about IgG4-RD, and of course, amplify the collective voice worldwide of IgG4-RD patients and those of our brothers and sisters, or sisters and brothers in the rare disease community.
Yeah.
So just like
Also,
Mahsa's totally been filling in on this global stuff. So exciting, especially for us. Um, what else?
just so you all know, I'm completely in my relapse, and I will be getting my next infusion on April 16th, and I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm leaving Milan tomorrow. It was a tough journey, but I had to do it. I'm so glad I did it. I'm able to bridge a lot of gaps right now for us. So If also you are interested in any other type of communities or advocacy groups or trials in your region, when you subscribe or you contact us through our webpage, just go ahead and submit your region, that you're looking for, so I can go ahead and help link you to that. We do Dr. Stone and Amgen and all of them, they've been working really hard, and they did get us the new diagnostic code D89.84. So this is for your diagnosis. It's a diagnosis code. It's international, okay? D89.84.
I'd have to update
So
your insurance.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of good stuff coming out. We have to thank these doctors, these medical students and interns who are really interested. Obviously there's still a lot of these little gaps and things that I like to say, oh, it's a negativity, but it's not it's an issue that needs work on, advocacy exists because not everything is peachy. There's issues, there's problems, there's gaps, there's patients falling through cracks, and that's what we're here to fix. So, or try to at least.
Yeah,
We have a lot planned for you
yeah,
and for us.
right. And then also we're going to address things like the power differential between patients and doctors and patients and care,
Yes.
because self-advocacy shrinks that differential so that we're less like deer in the headlights listening to the Almighty. We're more like participants in our healthcare as being members of our own wellness team. I've got a number of doctors who I adore, and I feel like we're all part of a team. So I want everyone to have that feeling too. I want my luck to spread everywhere.
Absolutely. See, that's great. I met a patient from Australia, and he has his own support group of 200 patients. And we have patients from Australia in our group who don't know about that group. So just showing up to something like this, like that is a whole other type of advocating, because now I'm able to connect them as well. I know this type of thing gets a little bit stressful, but there are a few of us patients who are willing to do this type of thing and keep fighting for our collective voices. And Alex and I, when we met, we keep saying stars were aligned, and somehow we were also met with Trend Community, which was another stars aligned, and then we fell in with IgG4, and it's just everything, right? Um, Keep pushing through. If you're a patient, keep pushing through. If you're a caregiver, keep loving that patient. Let them tell you how to take care of them. A lot of times we need to tell you how to take care of us. That's another part of advocacy we're gonna go over. Um, we're very excited. There's a lot of good things coming for us, for all of us.
Yeah.
So thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry, I know we were a little bit all over the place. Me and Alex totally had written down what we were gonna do, but we did totally go off plan. I
We
did.
went off
I know I
script
did.
totally. That's okay. Yeah. But thank you for joining us. And yeah, like, share, subscribe, click that notification
Yeah.
button.
And if you're seeing the eclipse, please wear those special goggles that
Oh,
you
yeah.
need. Um, because the chance of blindness is very, very real if you look at it without the special glasses. So please take care. Especially those who have lacrimal and orbit involvement.
Yes. Yes. And enjoy the eclipse if it's there, but safely, right? For us, it
Yeah,
has to.
absolutely.
So any final words? I'm pretty much worded out. I think I've said all that I've had to say, except for love you guys. Thank you all for joining. And I didn't mean to use guys as a sexist term. I was more using it as
And this is why we're a team, because I would say that so nonchalant.
a
Um, my last words is that there's actually hope, but we do need our patients to put in a little bit of extra effort, whether it's participating in communities, in research studies, in trials, but no one's ever forced to do any of that. It's all up to you. But if we have more patients doing more, then we have more to go based off of. We can help more people globally around the world. We'll be helping bridge these gaps even further. Um, just rest assured, I know that a lot of us are financially struggling, especially our US patients too, with the insurance hurdles and the treatment hurdles and all of that. We are working every day on finally getting something through to help us also on that financial side. Just keep posted, stay tuned. We're doing everything we can, and if you ever want to help us or participate in any way, just subscribe or send us an email. You'll find us on the contact us page, and we'll be more than happy to help and connect and collaborate, because that's what it's all about. We rise together, not about us, without us.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well,
All
thank you so
right.
much. And everyone enjoy your eclipse. I'm gonna end.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Did we say happy total solar eclipse? Happy total solar eclipse.
Yeah, well, we're in the path of totality, but I don't know about anyone else. So, well,
Well,
let's
there
sign
you
off
go.
from here. Okay. All right. Bye, everybody. Love you.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you soon, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.